gosh, I don't understand any of this.
Here comes the chemist guy.
I heard you need some help with some chemistry. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Let's take it to my twin brother for some more science. The first thing you need to know about molecules is how to name the amount of molecules in a compound. Here are the few prefixes you need to know. 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Now you need to find the molar mass of the compound. To do that, you find the atomic mass on the periodic table of each element, and you times that by the number of times the element is in that compound. Add all those numbers up, and boom, you have the molar mass. And the molar mass is measured in AMUs. That's easy to remember. And then also you have to remember, moles is measured in grams. Thank you very much. So now you need to know the types of bonds that are formed by these compounds. There are 4 major bonds. The first one is ionic. Second one is covalent polar. Next one is non-polar covalent. The last one is metallic. But how do you know which one is which? That's also very simple. A covalent bond is where 2 atoms, just 2, share electrons between them. An ionic compound is where electrons are traded between atoms, so an atom becomes either positive or negative. And then a metallic bond is where several, not just 2, more than 2 atoms share electrons. And that's all you need to know from this lesson.
Now I want to know what type of elements make ionic bonds.
Oh, well, that's easy. An ionic bond is only made between a metal and a non-metal.
What about metallic?
Oh, well, metallic, I mean, it says metal in it, so, I mean, it's just a metal and a metal together.
Oh, and what about the covalent?
Well, I mean, there's only one option left. That's a non-metal and a non-metal.
Thanks. So, I was also wondering, how do I know polar from non-polar substances?
Oh, well, I think my brother has more information on that. Let's go to him. Thank you, Jimmy. Let's talk about polar and non-polar. If you have a symmetric Lewis structure like this, it means everything's even on both sides. It's non-polar. To have a polar, you have to have a bent shape, which has these and is not symmetric, so it's not even on both sides. You can also tell by a bond dipole, which is, it measures the amount of dipole movement to determine whether it is polar or non-polar. Then you have VSEPR. It's a theory of valence shell electron pair repulsion. It is the theory that predicts the geometry of individual molecules from the number of electron pairs surrounding it. That's how the more is polar, less is non-polar. So, an ionic compound is made of cations, positive, and anions, negative. To name an ionic compound, you'd say the cation first. Here's a good example of that. This is NH for 1+, and that is a cation with a 1 charge. And this is an anion, which is SO4, 2-, and since there's 2 anions, then there's more anions than cations, which makes this negative. And to name the ionic compound, you give a ratio, and you switch them so they are equal, and you get 2 and 1.
And so if there are more anions, then it needs a negative charge because it gained more valence electrons, right?
Correct, sir. Alright, so the next compound you need to know is a molecular compound. Right here is a solid example of a molecular compound. We have C6, H6, and O2. The definition of a molecular compound is the actual number of atoms of each element in a compound. So it's not the smallest ratio, it's everything that is there. And so say you wanted to name this molecular compound. You take the prefixes from earlier, so you have 6 hexa carbon, which is C, 6 hexa hydrogen, which is hydrogen, And then O2, dioxygen. If you want to flip it around, do it the same way. Hexa would be 6, hexa 6, di 2. Let's talk about acids and bases. An acid always has a hydrogen ion with it. So let's say hydrochloric acid, which would be HCl, a hydrogen acid. And then a base always has a hydroxide ion. So NaOH, which would be sodium hydroxide.
A+.
I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from